So, do you know a Professor Joseph Taylor?
Yeah, he's chair of my department and a friend.
And a Professor Celine Rosen?
Yes, she's a colleague in my department.
Now let me continue by asking if you have ever witnessed Professor Taylor act unfairly to yourself or members of the university.
No, never.
The reason I ask this is because a colleague of yours believes Professor Taylor treated them unfairly.
Yeah. Celine thinks that Joseph was wrong to deny her tenure.
As I said at the beginning, I would prefer not to divulge the identity of the persons at the center of this investigation. But I suppose it is pretty obvious at this point. In your opinion, do you believe Professor Rosen deserves to be tenured?
I would prefer not to answer that.
And why is that?
Same reason I'm guessing your other interviewees aren't talking about Celine. We're all afraid of her. So the tricky thing to understand here is that the gap between the two lines represents the extra benefit derived by third parties. These are people that the consumer doesn't know, and so doesn't take into account when making decisions.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm just having a hard time seeing how this is relevant in the real world.
It is not relevant. It's totally irrelevant. You got me. Red-handed. None of this matters at all. They just make me teach it because it's in the textbook. No, it's actually really relevant to the real world, and I think you're gonna see that it is pretty dope. Did I use that word right?
We sometimes also say sick.
Okay, well, it's definitely sick. Speaking of sick things or sick people, Alicia, you said last class you got a COVID-19 shot, right?
Yeah,
Why did you get it?
to protect myself and family.
Okay, anyone else? What's interesting is that Alicia didn't mention people she doesn't know. She didn't think about people she doesn't know when she got vaccinated. But an unvaccinated Alicia can still infect those people, right? So here, if we go back to our example, the gap between these two lines represents the benefit we get when we think about people we don't know. Oftentimes, a consumer only considers themselves or the people around them, so we get a suboptimal outcome in the marketplace. So, Alicia, if you're in charge, how do you fix this?
The government can force us to get vaccinated.
Okay. And what did the university decide to do during COVID?
They forced us to get vaccinated.
So maybe this concept is actually more relevant to the real world than we thought. Maybe it's relevant to us.
Were you planning to use this example anyway?
No, that was just yeah, I did. You're right. You're absolutely right. All right, let's finish a few minutes early. Nice work today. Remember, assume I don't sleep and keep emailing me those questions.
Sorry to track you down like this, but you're not going to believe this. Celine convinced a group of students to crash a board of trustees meeting this morning. They started hammering the president about Jeff Murphy's research. Listed off a series of quotes from his papers, how blacks have lower IQs than whites, that sort of thing.
As one of the country's most diverse campuses, we also need to allow students to determine when speech is in conflict with the university's core values.
What is she talking about?
The students have a petition demanding that Jeff's emeritus status be revoked. And get this, that I be investigated and forced to step down for supporting his research.
This has nothing to do with Jeff. She's just using it to smear you and get tenure.
Well, she's doing a great job. The petition has 2,000 signatures of faculty and students and the entire academic senate. And the president has agreed to let a 5-person subcommittee of the academic senate vote on the petition next week. Next week! And the Telegraph has contacted me. The reporter has all these out-of-context quotes from emails between Celine and me. Remember that female candidate that we decided not to hire because her research was weak? Well, if you read the reporter's quotes, it looks like I'm opposed to hiring women, period. I need a favor. Celine is hitting me from every direction. Telegraph reporter is posting a story tonight. Can you talk to him this afternoon and tell him what's really going on? The university has forbidden me from discussing Celine's case.
Can't Talk to a reporter? What would I say? That Celine's a talentless hack?
If she had been this diligent about her research, she'd have tenure, and this never would have happened.
Did you just get someone else?
No. Last time, you were the only one who even dared to suggest she was lying.
You know how I feel about Celine. But I'm going up for tenure next year. I can't afford to piss off the administration right now.
Please.
I'm sorry.
I understand. Any news from the journal about your article?
No. No, fair not.
Well, that's too bad. You're a good teacher.
Did you read that article about Joseph? It's awful, right?
Yeah, it's not great. So, did Joseph actually sign off on Jeff's research, or?
No, I mean, he verified that those articles were published in real journals, but he never read them.
That piece of shit article made it seem like Joseph personally sponsored Jeff's research.
He actually asked me to talk to the reporter.
Uh-huh. What did you say?
No. But I think I should have said yes.
Wait. You're not seriously considering connecting your name in a newspaper with an alleged racist, are you?
Do you think it's fair what's happening to Joseph?
No, of course not, honey. But we both know that Celine is nuts. Who knows what she would do to you? And think about the students, the memes. Joseph shouldn't have asked you. This is his war to fight.
So it's just law of the jungle, every man for himself. So if I could just get your help convincing the Senate to modify the petition, take out the sections related to Joseph.
I don't think I can help you with this. What you just told me is confidential personnel information that's off limits. And even if I could help out, we wouldn't get a lot of support in the Senate. I've read Professor Murphy's research, and it's pretty troubling. The other senators agree.
Yes.
We have a duty to our students. After all, they brought this petition to us.
You don't think the students actually wrote the petition, do you? Celine wrote the petition.
And yet you've provided me no evidence of this.
Kim, look at some of the language. They say there's special faculty members and regular faculty members. They don't know.
I can't censor what students wrote, especially not at something as sensitive as this. But if you want to address the Senate before the vote and make your case, I can arrange that for you.
Address the Senate and be branded as racist?
Isn't that what you're asking me to do? You see why I can't help you with this.
Okay, so Celine wins and a good man loses?
You study economics, it's a zero-sum game. World's full of them right now.
I hear you've been spreading rumors about me.
No, Celine, just asking questions.
You know, there's a lot you don't know about Joseph.
Okay, sure. Can you give me some examples?
You'd need to speak to my lawyer about that.
Why are you doing this?
Doing what?
The student petition, the investigation of Joseph, the Telegraph article. You and I both know that Jeff has been writing this stuff for years.
I had no role in putting that petition together.
What? Are you kidding? So the students were just leafing through obscure journals, happened to find Jeff's articles and thought, oh, we need to deny this professor the title of emeritus. The students don't know what emeritus is. And then they thought, what if we pinned all of Jeff's research on the chair, who had nothing to do with that?
Clever, aren't they?
So I just wanted to know if there's anything I can do to help support the Senate vote. I just feel really uncomfortable being in a department associated with these kind of views. I actually don't see Professor Murphy around campus very much anymore. And I had no idea he published that kind of stuff. How'd you come across his research?
Well, we were actually tipped off by Professor in your department, Professor Rosen. She's wonderful, isn't she?
Of course. Yes, yeah, she's very talented. Did she help write this petition?
No, I wrote it.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, it's just that there's all these different kinds of faculty members and all their different voting rights, and I just didn't know that students knew the distinctions.
Well, I wrote about it, didn't I?
Great. Well, maybe you can help me understand. There was a part here on page...
I'm actually running late for a class right now, so...
Totally understand. Wait, one question then. The special faculty member and the regular faculty member, what's the difference there? I actually don't know.
I don't think I can help you with that, actually.
Because you don't know the difference, right? Because Professor Rosen wrote the petition.
Am I in trouble?
No, you're not in trouble. You're not in trouble. I just want to do the right thing.
Okay, well, what can I do to fix it?
She truly is despicable, isn't she? I've seen this sort of stuff before, but not on this level.
Kim, do you think you can use this to convince the Senate to scrap the vote?
Probably. I want to talk to the university's lawyers first before I start sharing a faculty member's private communications around.
I don't think we can go to the lawyers. They're just going to slow things down.
You may want to put your neck on the chopping block for a noble cause, but as the academic senate chair, I have to think about all the faculty's reputations.
Well, you're thinking about your reputation, aren't you?
Think what you want. I'm going to do the right thing for the greatest number of people. You economists might say I'm trying to maximize social, not individual welfare. I suggest you do that too.
I am. I'm thinking about the students.
I've just spoken to the provost about the accusations you've been spreading. They are exactly the type of bullying that led me to file for an investigation.
An investigation that did nothing for your tenure.
My tenure status is not public. And one should be careful about discussing confidential HR information in public. You know, you can be fired for that.
Oh. So you have tenure. It's so funny, I must have missed you at the tenure promotion ceremony.
You aren't going to win this one, Patrick. I have the students and their army of posts.
You do.
Might I suggest, a better use of your time would be in applying yourself to your research. After all, without another published paper, your case is weak, and you're gonna need every vote you can get, including my own.
I spent the last 2 days talking to lawyers about defamation lawsuits. They all say don't bother.
Oh, they don't want to be employed?
Oh, I paid them for the consultations. Turns out it's pretty difficult to prove that someone knowingly lied. After all lies Celine has said about me, can we prove that she knew they were untrue? Is it worth $200K to find out? I'm not certain.
Yeah, what about the Telegraph?
Well, the editor didn't respond to my request for corrections. Anyway, they're going to be writing another article after the Senate meets. This reporter will be there. I know I asked you about this already, but any help with a reporter would be appreciated.
Yeah, I know. We're trying to kill the Senate vote first. Kim and I have an email chain that proves Celine wrote the petition. We're just running by legal.
The university will bury that. The provost isn't going to do anything to Celine. He's too worried about further retaliation. The only way I get out of this is if guys like you do the right thing.
Yeah? What is the right thing? Why is this on me, Joseph? What would you do if you were in my position?
I don't know. I guess I'd have the guts to say what was really happening. But who knows? I might act the same way.
So I was looking into the PhD program, and I saw that I need 3 letters of recommendation to apply. So I was just wondering if you can write me one.
PhD? In economics?
Yeah.
Oh, don't do it. Yeah, of course. I'd love to help.
Can I ask you what it's like being a professor?
Has its challenges.
Right, like the thing with the chair. But you seem to like teaching though, right?
Right, but there's research, writing papers.
And do you enjoy it?
Sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
No, I can't do any more bad news right now. Just had a second round rejection from a journal. How bad?
Bye, Jocelyn, Nora. Good news. I think I found somebody to represent me. They're a group of free speech lawyers and activists.
Kim just told me that the university is going to grant Celine tenure. And it gets worse. They're moving to remove you as chair. The president will announce it before tomorrow's vote. They're throwing you under the bus.
Are you sure?
And you were right about the email chain. The provost won't let us share it. I guess Celine's lawyers found out about it and they're going nuclear. So.
That snake. She got tenure. She did it. She fucking did it.
Sorry, Joseph.
No, it's not your fault. It would have taken an army of men of conscience, and that's a commodity that the world is a little short of right now. Now, if you will excuse me, there's a rather large bottle of scotch awaiting me at home.
So, can you resubmit to another journal?
I can, but it won't be published in time.
Okay. Can you get tenure with what you have?
Maybe, but not with Celine coming after me.
Then don't give her a reason to.
The meeting's tomorrow.
Yeah, and the handwriting's already on the wall. I mean, Joseph is getting the boot, and Celine is gonna get tenure. You have to move on. Why is this so important to you?
Remember that time in college when the professor insulted you in class and some guy stood up and made him apologize to you?
Yeah.
You married that guy.
And he ended up failing that class.
Yeah, he did. But it was worth it.
While I recognize the First Amendment right to free speech, I urge the Senate to also recognize their role in promoting the core values of our university. If we are truly committed to the success of our diverse student body, and we truly believe that Professor Murphy's research reflects racism and bigotry, then we should strip him of his title and of his affiliation with this university. On the question of Professor Taylor, I urge the Senate to show some restraint. As the President has just mentioned, Professor Taylor has been asked to step down and will no longer lead the Department of Economics. This implicit recognition of his role in supporting Professor Murphy's research agenda is now clear. We need go no further. This is not a witch hunt. Thank you.
Before we register our votes, I would like to give anyone else the opportunity to share their thoughts. All right. If no one wants to...
I'd like to speak. I want to start by saying that I abhor racism and sexism in all its forms, and I condemn Professor Murphy's research as odious and hurtful. But I'm not here to talk about Professor Murphy's research. Professor Rosen has already done that. I want to talk about why we're here. Simply put, Professor Rosen has a score to settle with Professor Taylor, and she used Professor Murphy's research as a weapon to settle that score.
These ad hominem attacks are completely inappropriate in a forum like this. I had nothing to do with this petition.
I have a series of emails between you and the purported author of this petition that show that you advocated for an investigation to fire Joseph.
Not true. And besides, you know that you can't share private communications.
Yes, I can. It's just a matter of whether I care about the consequences. It's too late anyway, because everything I'm about to say, including all of those emails, is in a folder that I've just shared with everyone in the room.
And do these documents that you've shared reveal that you knew about Jeff's research all along?
They do. It's true, I've known about the research for years, in fact, and I did nothing. But I spoke about the research with you, Celine, and you can read about those conversations in the emails I provided in the folder I've shared. That's right, for years, Celine knew about this research and did nothing. So why is she bringing it to us now? I think the answer to that is clear. She was denied tenure last year and blames Professor Taylor. She launched an HR investigation, which did not end up with her getting tenure. There was no evidence that Professor Taylor discriminated against her. So now she's brought us a scandal about a racist professor that has consumed the university and become statewide news. And she's made sure that Professor Taylor is the culpable party in that scandal.
Kim, can you stop this? Before Professor Archer digs a bigger hole for himself?
If the information is already out there, I'm not sure he can dig any farther.
You realize what the consequences are for what you've done, right?
I do. I'll be censured by the provost, probably fired. A social media mob will come after me for turning a blind eye to racism in my department. And that's okay. I'm okay with that now.
You can fight it, you know.
I don't think I want to. And this helped me see that.
Wish I could go with you, but I'm too invested here. My kids, my house, my pension. At least some of the faculty will talk to me now without looking over their shoulders.
And what about Celine?
Well, now that I'm no longer chair, I'll have plenty of time to launch investigations and petitions of my own. I think she'll make a terrific target.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so that's 5 of you who chose $33. Alex, what was your answer?
Well, I was going to say $1, but everyone else was saying $33, so...
Would you be surprised to learn that $1 is the correct answer? And you know why, right? Do you want to explain to the class?
Because you can progressively eliminate any larger number than 1 by a dominated strategy.
That's exactly right, yeah. So next time, don't look at what other people are saying, trust your gut, right? Okay, so who else chose $33?